WPT Nation. Some big smiles here as I look around, and when I say look around, staring into my iPad screen. But good to see Tommy and Joe, Tom Murphy, and the other JB, Joe Bianca, on the team. We are, I think, fully recovered. I'll speak for myself. Took a couple of days. I was a
Yeah.
little groggy and kind of, as Lindsay called it, the integration hangover when we were texting like late Monday afternoon. But a phenomenal Belmont Stakes week and weekend here in Saratoga Springs. We'll we'll chat a little bit. The gang and I will talk about the Belmont, some of our beloved West Point horses. But before we get into everything, Joe, I'm going to put you on the spot first because you're Mr. Podcaster. Does Sovereignty, if Belmont and Godolphin opt to run in the Preakness, does he win all three?
Uh, I'm gonna say yes, just because I think Junior would have just looped everybody in the Preakness while
Hmm.
Umberto was stuck inside. If they both had a clean trip, I'll say no, just because I think journalism is probably a hardier horse. But yeah, like it's hard for me with the trip that journalism got to see Sovereignty not winning the Preakness. So, but we'll never know. We'll never know.
We will know at some point where who we like to think or what we like to think. Tommy might be a Sandman 2.0, little time to get stronger, mature a little bit, post Preakness into the Jim Dandy, blinkers added. We will find out ultimately where he stands this summer against Sovereignty, who I got to tell you, my knee jerk reaction, and I texted Dave Grenning of the Forum Sunday morning. My first text to Dave was, do you think Sovereignty will run back in the Jim Dandy, or will he go into the Travers Fresh? And that horse could be a real problem, not only for us, Tommy, but for everybody. He's really good.
Yeah, and he's been a problem thorn on our side before, handful of races we've run against him. So I'm kind of hoping Mott pulls another similar Preakness-esque move, skips a Jim Dandy's, trains straight up to the Travers, and kind of leaves the door open for us. Blinkers on for the first time, and we can unveil, as you said, Sandman 2.0 to the world, maybe a little bit more focused Sandman. But I think my initial take is, especially after watching the whole Triple Crown season, I think the Sovereignty and journalism are pretty undoubtedly 1-2 right now in the 3-year-old division. And I guess you could make the case that I guess Baez is third because he's run third behind him now twice in the Derby and the Belmont. So I'm looking forward to seeing Sandman get back, see where Sovereignty goes. I know journalism's going to head home west, so probably won't have to see him running against this crew again until probably the Breeders' Cup, and yet to be seen where Baeza goes. I wouldn't be surprised if he probably just goes to Haskell if he's sticking around East Coast, but I'm hoping that we're kind of the horse to beat in the Jim Dandy. We'll see, and I think the blinkers will be a game changer for Sandman. So I'm excited about that.
And he worked Sandman Sunday morning, not long after this far turn run was filmed in front of a packed and electric Saratoga grandstand with Belmont Stakes 157. And Sandman worked well in the blinkers, won an easy half mile. So we'll follow him along. It'll be exciting as he gears back up. But he's going to have to step up and improve as we head into the summer, because there's no doubt in my mind, Joe, as Tommy was just, pretty much pointing to, Sovereignty and journalism in that order are, I think, significantly the two best 3-year-olds in the country. And another point, Joe, before I turn it over to you. And now, granted, we had the honor and the enjoyment and the excitement of running in the two thirds of this year's Triple Crown with Sandman, and I'm forever grateful for him for getting us there. But even forgetting about the personal West Point stuff, this was a really awesome Triple Crown, I thought, even though the weather wasn't great. I mean, Sovereignty and journalism, kudos, hats off to both of them. Journalism running in all three legs, and Sovereignty with that big closing kick, winning two-thirds of it.
Yeah, and it was phenomenal. It's great to have like a budding rivalry in racing because we don't get too many of those. Mainly because horses don't stick around long enough to build a rivalry. But we got that just from the Triple Crown season, and it was awesome. The handle numbers were up, the ratings were up, and this is the anecdotal thing. I was watching Pardon the Interruption the other day. It's like one of my favorite shows, and they did 2.5 minutes on journalism and sovereignty in the Belmont, and I was thinking like, when is the last time a mainstream show like that did much of a segment on the Belmont when there wasn't a Triple Crown on the line. So I do think that there was kind of some breakthrough success this year from the horses on the track into the mainstream, and that's a really, really important thing. And hopefully, we can capitalize on some of that, bottle some of that, because I do think we've gotten I think the Netflix show probably has something to
Yes,
do with it.
big time.
We've gotten a
Yep.
lot of great attention this spring, and I think we really got to capitalize on it into the spring, into the summer and fall. But yeah, a lot of it is due to these two horses. Like they're just phenomenal, and I don't know. I just love seeing Roberto Rispoli pat journalism on the
Yes, I'm
fence.
glad
That
you
was
caught
awesome.
that,
I
Joe.
was
I
about to
Yeah,
bring
had
it
to
like
up.
it's
I
the
had
only.
to interrupt. That
Yep.
like warmed my heart seeing that Saturday night at dinner. I watched the Belmont again for the first time since watching it live, and I was like, wow, I can't recall too many runner-up finishes or a horse that didn't win, big race or not a big race, getting a pat from the jockey. So yeah, his love and his pride of journalism. Yeah, that was a great moment, and you can see it here actually when they go to the head-on shot right after the finish line.
Yeah, and there was that great little viral clip of Junior and Umberto hugging each other and hugging each other's horses, which was so cool to see. And this was one of those races that journalism was not stopping. Like Sovereignty really ran him down, ran his final quarter in less than 24, which is silly for a mile and a quarter race. So that he really didn't lose anything in defeat, considering he ran in all three races as well. But just two phenomenal horses put on a great show in front of a great crowd.
And you know what? Like Tommy B and I, Tom Bellhouse and I were chatting Sunday. We both watched the Matt win on my phone, and you had East Avenue in a close finish with Burnham Square and Chunk of was it Chunk of Gold or the it was the other horse, Coal Battle rather.
Full battle, yeah.
Um, yeah, and Tommy had the thought, you know what? Like if that's the B team at this point with this crop, Tommy, like this is a pretty good 3-year-old class. It really is. These horses are solid.
Yeah, 100%. And I was thinking after this race on or Saturday and then into Sunday morning, thinking about, what is it gonna shape up the rest of the year? What's it gonna look like? Who's gonna go where? And then the convergence of everybody in Southern California for the Classic with a really strong class of 3-year-olds and some really nice older horses and two that we saw run. Oddly enough, get beaten them at mile, Fiercest and Waterburio. We'll probably see them renew their rivalry again out there. We'll see Journalism, Sovereignty, and Imagine Baeza. Hopefully, our own Gray Sandman is out there to join them. But I just think overall in the 3-year-olds, and I see it so much, people are just complaining about, oh, this 3-year-old class is so weak. There's no great horses here. But I think this race really is a testament to the opposite of that, where they both got their trips and they just were able to throw down again, just like they did in the Derby, and really prove that hey, they're the two best of a pretty nice 3-year-old classic colts.
It felt great, guys, and we'll move on to the action on Sunday. But Joe and Tommy, I mean, both you guys were up here. Well, let me pause this. Uh, I was walking around because the rain finally stopped. Friday was basically a washout, and I don't spend a lot of time on social media anymore, and certainly on Twitter, which I guess is if I had a preferred outlet on social media, it would hands down be Twitter because I'm almost 50. I'm an old man. I'm 47. Evidently, according to Griffin, that's the old people app. But anyway, I don't tweet that much anymore compared to my old jobs. And but I felt compelled to just say, like generally try to stay pretty positive and optimistic, not only about racing and our horses, but life in general. Like glass is always half full. But I remember Saturday morning just really feeling bad, not only for the horsemen, and, owners, trainers, everybody, the barn help, the grooms, everybody, because just weeks and months of getting your horses ready to fire, hopefully their best shot. Belmont Stakes weekend, regardless of what race they were in, but also thinking about all the moving parts on the front side and months of preparation and to have it just pour. So, long story short, thankfully the rain stopped. And Joe, I mean, walking around, man, I was just trying to stay mindful and present. And even though we didn't have a horse in the Belmont, to just kind of soak it all in because there's nothing like a big day, especially on a sunny Saturday afternoon at Saratoga. It's good for the soul, is my point.
Yeah, I mean, and the rain cleared out just in time for a really, really beautiful afternoon. And yeah, the buzz is unmistakable at Saratoga in general, but especially for Belmont Week, just because it feels so special and like such a novelty. And we're gonna do it one more year, and I think that'll be it. That'll be the last time it happens until, maybe there's some major Belmont renovation down the line. So people really are soaking it in for these couple of years that it's happening. I had a couple of friends come up who had never been to Saratoga before, and they were like, "Whoa!" Like I'll never forget. Like I think it was the True North, and we went to watch it like by the screens where we usually watch the races, and the crowd was going nuts, and they just
Mm,
me after the race and was like, "Wow, I didn't even have a bet, and I felt all that energy." So it really is nothing like it, and yeah, it's a special, special thing.
absolutely. And we've got a whole summer, 4th of July weekend ahead of us. And then, of course, the traditional meet beginning, I think, July 13th or second week of July. Maybe at some point we'll see integration back running on the Saratoga turf. This, by all means, was a tough loss. Super proud of the horse, who's the number two in the green cap. In fact, right off his flank, off his right hind, you could see our other horse, the very beloved and lovable Carson's Run, who just didn't fire. But integration did fire Tommy, and a case of, you know, he's been a hard luck horse on a lot of different fronts in a myriad of categories. Them shortening the race and moving the race a day later, my friend, cost us the win. I feel pretty confident saying that.
Yeah, I would tend to agree, and I it's hard for me to think of a horse that's had tougher luck than him in these big spots where I remember right about here I'm thinking, oh, we're just gonna be third best and come home third, awesome, not really make it close, and then you see him get two pops right one right here, and he
Righty,
really
yeah,
takes off.
Johnny, righty,
And then
boom, boom,
there
and
it is
home.
again, and I'm thinking to
Ah,
myself, oh, we might get there, and then right after the wire, I think to
Oh
myself,
God, it
yeah,
doesn't.
what
It's
if they
like
never
the
shorten the
30th time
race?
I watch it. It doesn't get any better.
No, it's
nope,
and you know
nope.
what? I think I texted both of you guys this, but as I'm leaving Albany Airport on Monday, I'm waiting to check my bag, and what do I hear is the full volume. The some guys watched the replay of this race. It was like the racing gods are rubbing it in my face. But it's horse racing. There's nothing you can do about it. But just very proud of the effort this horse puts in, and pretty hard pressed to see him not show up like this. And I think you can go back, watch a lot of these replays of these podcasts we do, and say, "Oh, this horse is due, this horse is due." But I still stand by that. I think one of these days he's gonna get his. And one thing I do want to note that it kind of maybe shake my head a little bit was, of course, we get beat, and who's riding the horse? Our man Kendrick, who rode him, and early on in his career, and reminds me of we got beat earlier in January when Tyler came by and nailed us in the wire. So just add that to the list there. Hopefully we get to flip the script here soon with him.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Tommy. You just keep bringing it on, my friend. No, but I mean, all joking aside, there was a ton going on in deep stretch here, in terms of who was on deterministic, the paceless trip that he pulled, him running the best race of his life, and of course, we're happy if there is a silver lining. We're happy for the Clement family and certainly Miguel, who won three races Belmont week, first grade one naturally with deterministic. Couple of quickies, Joe, just in terms of the Clement camp, but also moving forward, it does feel like those group one slash grade one Godolphin horses that had been a thorn in our side in this division all of last year, those horses aren't around anymore. They're not shipping here anymore. They're not based here anymore. I gotta think as we tape this thing Wednesday morning, right after Belmont weekend, man, Arlington Million integration's supposed to be like super tough there.
Yeah, I mean, and this was like you just watch the race. Nobody else closed. Nobody. He was the only one that made up any real ground, and I think you could argue he ran the best race. I was looking at his past performances. He's run a 95 buyer, 95 or better buyer 12 times. He's run a 98 or better buyer nine times, and he's run a triple digit buyer 5 times and still doesn't have a grade one win. Show me another horse. Find me another horse with that speed figure production that does not have a grade one win in America. So that's, I mean, that really speaks to how frustrating it's been with him. We're obviously super proud of him still. And yeah, I think the Arlington Million, it's a grade one still, but it's like you're saying, Jason, like you don't get the army of Godolphin horses shipping in for that festival like you once did when it was back at Arlington Park. So yeah, I think that's the spot. I'm gonna say it. Like Tommy said, you need like a recording where you could just press the button and say, "This is the spot. This is the spot." But that's the spot, I think.
Little bit of a head scratcher as we look ahead to hopefully a grade one win and maybe a prep before. Maybe he Shug opts. I'm hoping to talk to Shug a little bit later today for the weekly updates. Shug opts to run him. Maybe you do the prep race. He'll be odds on there, and then hopefully gets that grade one win. Quick thought from both of you guys, Joe. I'll just throw it back to you. Nobody closed. You just mentioned that with exception of integration. Kind of a head scratcher with Carson's run. Love him. Can't say I didn't fully realize going in that was unequivocally, hands down, the toughest field of horses that he's ever faced before, right?
Yeah.
Even though he's running a Breeders' Cup. I mean, that was the division's best, basically. So was it slightly the competition, the way the race played out, something bugging him? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the confluence of things. Like this was his first start really against elders. You know, he ran against all straight 3-year-olds pretty much his entire 3-year-old season. Obviously, before that was just against 2-year-olds. So it's a big step up. You know, on the buyer scale, he had to get like 8 to 10 points faster. He was a little quicker on the thoroughgraphs. But yeah, he just seemed a little wound up pre-race. I think I heard that he like might have kicked the stall before the race in the paddock and just it was a little bit flat. I'm inclined to give him a mulligan on that just because, you know, he's always bounced back from his poor races. Like he had the kind of a no-show in the Breeders' Cup came and then the no-show or the race where he drifted out in the stretch in the Woodhaven came right back and started that winning streak. So I'm not going to hold it against him. He's you know he's entitled to a bad day and you know maybe grade one company against elders is a little too much for him at this exact moment. So maybe we look for a grade two or a grade three spot for him next before jumping back into the deep waters. But yeah, he's been a great horse and if anybody deserves a mulligan, it's him.
Yeah, I like that. I like that plan. That's like an absolute to a T perfect summation as to where I think also things stand right now with Carson's and what could be ahead in the near future. Maybe just a slight step down in class, get him back winning, and we can step back up anytime we want late summer into the fall. Watching the simulcast guys picked up a win, Final Boss, who I can't help it. Like every time he runs, anyone, I'm like, I named that horse. I named that horse. That is a loss. He was very determined, got a 91 buyer, a career best. So, you know, maybe it's taken a while. Not to say that he wasn't already a stakes winner out there, but maybe we're starting to get up 4-year-old summer where Final Boss starts to really trend in the right direction out in Southern Cali. And in your neck of the woods, Tommy, she might not be a grade one caliber horse at this point, but I have nothing but respect for Ivory and Ebony, who like all I ask or all you want to see is like, regardless of a horse's level, show up and just run hard and try hard. And I think that's a very good description of her in a tough half length loss.
Yeah, very much so. And going back and watching the race, the replay a handful of times, just you can see the fractions here of the leader going 21 flat and then basically 44 flat. I fully expected that horse to just stop and really come back. And I thought, I love that Brian kept her on the rail and she was game to go through inside of horses on the rail, squeeze through. You don't see a lot of horses want to do that, but she was very, very game, made up ground really well, I thought, on a horse that just really didn't want to stop in front of her. But I think added ground is just going to be wonders for her. I went and saw her this morning here at Churchill. She was doing great. Very, very happy with her, and hopefully we can break through this maiden condition next out with her.
Definitely. And along those lines of busting through a maiden condition, looking ahead, I mean, these are horses that have been officially entered. This is a quality list that basically runs through Thursday up to Sunday. You know, backtracking, 1-2 punch out west off the segue of Final Boss winning, Indispensable and Pony Express. Good luck to Miss Enchanted, who just tries hard and runs hard. We'll try to get back on track with Coast Along. Turf race for Runaway Rojo. Maybe we get lucky with the weather and that race gets rained off. You've got a couple of stakes scattered throughout the Mid-Atlantic. Joe, this weekend, are you and not putting you on the spot, pal? It's been a crazy, frenetic, busy period here for the company, which we're happy about. You heading to Monmouth for Signature, or maybe hopping down to Delaware Park?
Yeah, I don't know about Delaware, maybe Monmouth. Let's keep it realistic here. And plus, I don't want to infringe on Dawn's territory. It's like I'm not gonna take her corners away from her, to use the wire parlance. But yeah, it's a huge weekend for us, and I think, like, honestly, a lot of pivotal races for some horses. Like, I think about Stretch Ride tomorrow night. I think Pascaline. I think on Saturday he's had two okay races for the layoff as a 3-year-old. Really would like to see him step forward. Coast Along on Sunday, like that's supposed to be the spot for him. So I think
Yep.
it's a lot of action, but also a couple of really pivotal races for some of our older horses.
Absolutely. Signator's in a good spot. I kind of last night took a little gander at the PPs for his Monmouth Stakes on Saturday. Naturally, Chad's got one in there redistricting who could be a real problem for him. I mean, that horse has a pretty sizable not only class edge but accomplishment edge. But you'd like to think with a clean trip, Signator will be there. And guys, I mean, we had a beautiful, I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better start to the West Point 2-year-old class than a few weeks ago with Liberation out west. And our second 2-year-old starter, Mr. Tom Murphy, in your backyard, the Ville, beneath the Twin Spires. We've got Curtain Call, our first 2-year-old in training sales purchase to run this season. He's going to debut about 5:29, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, Thursday tomorrow at Churchill Downs. And I want to get both your thoughts on this, but Tommy, since you saw the horse this morning, I mean, the vibe with him seems like it's excellent.
Yeah, he hasn't really changed since she at least got to Churchill when I've seen him for the past a handful of weeks. He's been doing great. I've been excited about him. Everyone in the barn's been excited about him. I've loved his works out of the gate. I was there for one of them and saw the recording of the other where he looked pretty serious breaking out of the gate, putting away other horses he was working with. But I know Mark's assistant Alan here in Louisville has been pleased with them, and really nothing really has bothered him. He just kind of takes everything in stride and has earned the right to make his debut here. And I'm looking forward to it to get him going, because I remember how much I loved him when we bought him early on day one in March. So it's fun. I think we're gonna have a great crew out on Thursday evening with him, and obviously also Stretch Ride running. So very much looking forward to it, and hopefully getting 2 pictures taken.
Yeah, let's keep the good thought. As Joe said, it's a key race for Stretch Ride. I mean, he has to step back up and back in the right direction. But Joe, as Tommy was saying, and you're the Cassie guy on our team, I will never forget, like, you telling me the week after the Arkansas Derby, like, Sandman just wins a grade one and Mark in the winner's circle, Mark Cassie, that is, goes to you. Like, you got all this hoopla. We're going to the Kentucky Derby with one of the favorites now. And Mark's like, oh, dude, that Tis the Law Colt. I really, really love that horse. I'll never forget you telling me that story.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was like, "What? You want to talk about this now?" But okay, that's great. That's excellent news. And yeah, he's done everything right. And I don't want to set the expectations too high, because it is a first start, and this is supposed to be more than anything an educational experience. So if he doesn't win, I don't want anybody freaking out. But he has had that kind of Sandman trajectory so far, where he bounced right out of the sale and started working like a week or two after the sale, hasn't missed a beat, has been good at the gate, and really earned this trip and this spot. And I think it's honestly even more impressive than Sandman, because Sandman had just been galloping going
Right.
into that sale. So Tis the Law, this Tis the Law called Curtain Call had been drilled on a little bit harder, at least going into that sale, and still just has hit the ground running. So, we're really excited. It's going to be a really great crew out there. Tommy, you're going to have your hands full, but in the best way possible. And I know you're the man to handle it. So we're really stoked to have him starting this early. And I think if this goes well, I think he'll be on a trip up to Saratoga in short order.
Absolutely. But again, Mark, you heard it. That was like a encapsulation. Perfect, perfect. What basically Mark said. paraphrasing, doesn't put a lot of emphasis on winning first out. It's about getting a positive debut first out run under a horse's belt, and about just teaching them what the ropes are. And we play the long game at West Point. This is not, and he's great at it. But I think Wesley Ward, right? I mean, he has those horses, his 2-year-olds tighter than a wrapped up rubber band. And oftentimes, where are those horses come
Right.
August, September, October? You never hear from them again. We're about the career. It's about the journey, and good luck to Curtin Call and all of our horses running over the next few days. So one more sale, guys. We're coming up on OBS June. Demand, and again, thank you to everybody. We've got a ton of new partners that have joined the fold this year, and we have no existing inventory, which is wonderful. And there is no West Point without you guys. But we will have one more sale that we're going to attend next week down in Ocala. And Joe, it sounds, although none of us can see the future per se, sounds like the game plan going in, maybe a turf horse or a horse for the West Coast. And we got to get something for Arnold. The man needs a 2-year-old from us this spring, because I think the world of him.
No, absolutely. And I totally agree. And yeah, it's not as if like we didn't think about sending a couple or other horses to Arno. It just didn't work out for whatever reason. But yeah, he's done the absolute best job possible with the horses we've sent him. So I'm really excited to get him a nice 2-year-old next week. And then, like you said, a horse for California too, because we haven't bought one yet this year. And I know that there are a lot of California partners who are super engaged and like, did you forget about us? No, we didn't forget about you. We got a horse coming out west. We promise.
Yep, we absolutely do. And we promise to hop on next week. I know Joe's taking a little sabbatical. Joe, enjoy your trip out to Canada, Vancouver. It sounds, you were telling Tommy and I right before we hit the record button. I mean, I'm in Saratoga, so no complaints. But dude, I'd be lying if I said I just wasn't a little bit jealous, because I've never been in the Pacific Northwest, and it just looks like a place I would absolutely love.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. And I was saying I love Oregon and Washington. I went to Vancouver when I was younger and really loved it. And yeah, when Meg and I we were planning to do this trip during 2020, and COVID completely put the kibosh on that. So we're doing it. We're doing it, baby. So I appreciate the well wishes.
Absolutely. Well, along the lines of Oregon, flipping through the channels, this would have been, I think, no, it would have been Saturday night. No, maybe it was Friday night. In between watching the Panthers Oilers game, the Goonies was on HBO. So
Yeah.
I got mad love for the Goonies, and that was of course filmed in Astoria, Oregon, out there. That movie turned 40 years old just last week.
Man, we are ancient, Jason. We
We
are we're
definitely are.
getting up there.
And Tom Murphy, please tell me you've seen. I know
Yes,
you're a
I've
little
seen
younger.
Goonies.
Okay, good. All right, good. That
Of course.
good. I was really we're pretty much out of time, but we were gonna do a little overtime session, because I was gonna throw a fit, and I think Joe, you probably would have been right there with me.
Tommy's with it, to quote one of my boys. This guy's with it, all right?
Yep, yep, yeah. We're big Tom Murphy fans here on the podcast. We like those JBs as well. All right, we'll wrap up. Joe, enjoy your trip with Meg. Good luck, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time here on WPT in 30, and we'll see you at the spa.